Uh-oh. It's Thursday night, and you know what that means? It's Ask Stacey Stuff. Hey, Stacey.
Hey there.
You got a lot of people on the side. Hey, Rob, here we are once again on the Ask Show, having a little chit chat with our favorite professor of all times, Professor Talich. Everybody loved your show last time, Stacey. I think they have so many questions they want to get answered, and I feel like they're going to be well prepared tonight. So
we only had one complaint, just one.
What was the complaint?
Who was it? Oh no, that was a different show. Never mind.
Was it one of our shows?
Yeah. No, not our shows. Another show.
Phew. Yeah, no, I kind of dig this. I think people getting a chance to have this super personal one-on-one with you, I hope that really encourages them to check out your Udemy courses. And he dropped a huge surprise on Rob and I today, right before the show. He was just like, guess what, everybody? You can get all courses for $10 right now. So if you don't sign up right now, it's ridiculous. $10 for a Stacey Talich course, people. Remote viewing, communicate with the dead. What do you have there, Stacey? What else am I missing here? Because those are my two favorite.
Oh, I've got the prepping. I've got remote viewing. I've got hoodoo and conjure, and they're layered in, expertise levels. So you don't have to know anything going in. Right. I'll walk you through it.
Perfect.
Step you up all the way.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You go to Udemy, you find Stacey Talich on there, you find his courses, and you use Get Haunted 23, all capital letters, and that gets you your discount. $10. $10 for a course.
Per course, not all the courses, but each course is $10.
Yeah. And I want to put this out there, people. My very first Udemy was a Reiki course, and I did that 6 years ago. And guess what? It is forever yours. They belong to you forever. $10. You can have the remote viewing, communicate with the dead, hoodoo, conjure, prepping. That will be yours forever. Everything that Stacey offers with those courses, once you've signed up, once you've paid, it's yours. It's yours.
Yeah. And if you don't like it within 30 days, you get your money back.
Oh, I didn't know that. You get your money back?
Yeah. You got 1 month to kick the tires. And if it's something you don't want, then you can get your money back.
Hello.
Don't do that though.
First of all, he's so confident you're going to love his courses. You're not going to give it back. You're going to. We love you, Stacey. Everybody on the side loves you. Let's say hi to everybody before we get you kicked off on answering some of life's and spiritual's most important questions. We have the Miss Danny Marie here waiting, I'm sure, to ask some questions. We have Kimberly right here. She was ready. She was thinking last week you were on. She was kind of bummed. Yep. Every other Thursday. And side note, put on your calendars right now, December 28th. Stacey's going into remote viewing 2024, folks. You want to know some good shit? Come back here on the 28th, 8 p.m. Thursday. Remote viewing 2024. Crazy. Dehu, she thought she was missing something. She's like, oh shit, I missed a day. You didn't. You're right here.
What, the 28th of what?
December. Oh. What did I say? Did I say something totally different?
I
heard December. Maybe you said February, but I heard December.
I heard September.
I could have said September. Who knows? I don't know. There's Dee Dee in the house with dream interpretations. We have Sam's Pretty Paranormal here waiting. We have, I know I saw Jenny Davis is in the house. Guys, don't forget tonight, also at 9 p.m. Eastern time, right here on the Get Haunted Public Page Network. Guess what? They have Stephanie from McIntyre Villa. Guys, McIntyre needs our help. Their boiler broke down. Winter's coming. If we don't get this place saved, things are going to get wrecked. And this is a beautiful, beautiful location. They need some help. They've got a fundraiser going on right now. So please check out Whispers Within with Jenny Davis and Candy Slater. Let's see.
Whispers Within.
We have Rachel Bradley. Hello to you, beautiful humans. We've got Courtney. Hey, Courtney. I feel like I haven't talked to Courtney this week. I need to get back on my schedule of talking to everybody. There is Kaylee in the house. We have Kevin, Rachel's other half, right here. They're the best people on the side. Richie B, Banter with Richie B. Guys, check that out this week because it was pretty great. He's got a whole bunch of shows. I think he had another show going on yesterday.
He's got shows on. This guy's worse than us. He's live 24/7.
So guys, on the side, this is your show to talk, to ask Stacey stuff, which means ask a question. We're going to pull that question right up. Don't worry, we're not going to forget you. Rob's really good at starring that stuff, so we don't miss your questions. So ask your questions. And I think, Stacey, you sort of wanted to focus tonight on conjure and hoodoo. Like that's sort of where your mind was going. Could you maybe explain to the people on the side what we're getting with conjure and with hoodoo?
Yeah, conjure and hoodoo are relatively the same thing. They're regional belief systems or regional practices. They're not religions. Conjure and hoodoo are not a religious thing. They're more of using magic like you would use a chemistry set. You use you talk to spirits, you honor spirits, you even will conjure different ancestors or like the spirit of the crossroads, things of that kind. But it's not a religious diaspora. It's not like in voodoo or
what word did you just use? What was that?
Diaspora is what it really is. Which basically is, I mispronounced it. Sorry.
No, I didn't even. I never would have known that you mispronounced it. I didn't even know what the other word was. So
diaspora is living mythology.
Thank you.
It's the African diaspora is the mythology of the African gods and the spirits that never went away. The pantheon of gods and spirits, it's a polytheistic religion, meaning many gods. They will honor the river god as much as the fire god. It really all depends on what it is they're trying to accomplish. Nobody worships Zeus anymore or Thor or anything like that.
We got a guy that does.
Well, they're neo-pagans, meaning they try to revive a dead religion, resurrected from written texts and things of that kind. These they're unbroken. 6,000 years ago is the same as it is today. It's something that never was broken or died out or conquered by the monotheistic religions, which is what, believe it or not, they're still trying to do in Africa. Missionaries are going in and trying to dispel a lot of the belief systems in West Africa because, well, that's just what they do. But here in America, in the Caribbean, and South America, these things survive and thrive. But hoodoo and conjure are not that. They're born of it, but not that. Because in America, we're, Christian from, its inception, whether it be Protestant or Catholic. Even the Catholics had a hard time in America because they were considered to be pagan themselves to a lot of the Protestants. But depending on the region that you're talking about, whether it be in Louisiana, in Florida, the Caribbean, and even the Appalachia, they all have their own version of hoodoo and conjure, which is typically known as folk magic. Kitchen witch is what the Wiccans will call them, because you use stuff in your house, herbs and spices from your spice rack can be used to, conjure and protect and do all kinds of other things. So it is used primarily as like a chemistry set. There are no spirits in name invoked, but they will use the spirits of the river, the crossroads, different things like that when they conjure. But it's born out of Africa.
So when someone gets your course,
Mhm.
what can they expect to see or learn?
They can expect to be able to essentially, they're broken into levels depending on what you've got. Because I've got a get lucky course. It's not about you know being an F boy in the bar. It's about creating good luck for yourself, putting amulets and various herbs in your pocket that will bring good luck to you. Money will just fall out of the sky. You walk along, you see $100 bill. Oh, hey, that's nice. You pick that up and keep moving. It's in religion they call eche, which is good luck. But
Is my screen sharing?
It is.
Okay, good. I'm just scrolling through your Hoodoo and Conjure for Beginners
mhm.
with a 4.9 star rating. I should add, 1,064 ratings. That's more than I've seen on Amazon for some things. So I'm assuming here, for women only.
Yeah,
Stacey.
I better read that.
that yeah, for women only. That's how you can hook yourself a man. And
Look
Oh,
at Stacey. You go, boy.
relationship sweetener. That sounds
So
nice.
Dee Dee was sort of asking though, like, how is that different from nature magic? Like, especially like when you talk about the kitchen witch, or I do know like people who have grown up in the mountains talking about their grandmothers and using that term. Like, how is that different than nature magic?
well, it is nature magic.
Okay.
All of these things are born out of the Congo and the bush of Africa, and the only thing that has been stripped out is the pantheon, the gods themselves.
Okay.
Everything else that you see in here is part of the religion, minus that.
Okay.
And that's largely because, as a priest, I can't divulge certain secrets. I am bound to keep certain mysteries.
Okay.
And part of that is knowing when certain deities can be invoked and how. Um, this is, perfectly kosher on all of that,
Mhm.
largely because it's already in the wild. It's already in the Appalachia and in the folk magic of nature. Native Americans have a little twist on all of this stuff, but they also invoke their own deities and their own spirits in doing it. But it's a lot of the same stuff. Um, you know, what people want and need out of life and when they manifest is relatively the same since 6,000 years ago. People want prosperity, they want fertility, they want
Mhm.
marriage, they want money and good luck and good health and protection, all of these things that have been in the human psyche for the last 6,000 years are represented here. um even tarot card readers know that there's like four things that people really want to know, so they have spreads specific to those kinds of things. They want money, they want luck, they want marriage, they want this. It's those types of spreads are baked into the cake because those are the common things that people want. They want to
Mhm.
know it. This actually helps you manifest it. I consider it to be the second half of my remote viewing. Remote viewing is downloading information to know something, to get a particular target.
Mhm.
This is uploading information using nature as the code hack. Um, like you would download information on a computer and you upload information on another computer. The code in which you talk to the universe isn't English. It's not Latin. It's not any of those languages. It's not even just pure intent. It is things that are found in nature that complement that intent. You know, if you want to, you know, curse someone or seek justice or karma on someone, you use an object that is synchronized with that person, and then you do things to it in a sympathetic way to manifest those things to that person, for that person.
So
Voodoo doll is what people particularly know.
okay, which led me back to Jenny's question here. What is the difference between hoodoo and voodoo?
The pantheon, really, that's the biggest difference. Hoodoo and conjure and voodoo is a religion. Hoodoo and conjure are not.
Okay.
A lot of hoodoo and conjure, the spells that they would use, the magical incantations that they would use, come right out of the book of Psalms in the Bible.
Hmm.
You know, people who are hoodoo and conjure specialists, they won't call themselves doctors a lot of times, you know, Dr. Bamba or something like that. The spells they use come directly out of the book of Psalms. You know, the higher end numbered Psalms. Things that are said that are, you know, let his wife be a widow, let his son be fatherless. Things like that. Those are curses that are in the Bible. They call them imprecatory Psalms. So those are used in a lot of, because if you don't want to actually use your own words, you can go directly to the Bible to get that that feeling of holiness and righteousness right out of the book, and you know, throw that into the universe with your spell work, your workings.
That's really interesting. I wouldn't have thought to use something from the Bible
Yeah.
to use in a spell. Like that's right. And it is interesting that it is Psalms. Like that's
Yeah, right out of in the Appalachia, that's probably the most popular method.
okay.
They like you know, because back in the day, you know, 100 years ago, reading wasn't really a thing, and the only thing people could read or learned how to read was the Bible.
Okay.
And that was the thing that they could, you know, go to with the authority of God, do this, and then, you know, throw the conjure out too. So
I love this. Are you guys thinking of your, I know, right, Sam? And that's how, I feel like that's how Psalms is kind of sold to you, right? That it's more of a comfort, that it's more of a, I don't know. I just wouldn't have put two and two together there. I wouldn't have put spell binding quotes
yeah, well,
from
a lot
Psalms.
of people say that that was the first book of shadows, was the book of Psalms. It was the first spell book that people, you know, got in the masses.
Okay.
And what it really comes down to is the aesthetic of it, is that it is the ultimate authority, that the universe and the spirits have to obey the word of God, and the word of God is in the book of Psalms. So if you want something to manifest, you use, you know, the word of God in order to make it happen, you know, because that's what God did, literally.
I might have to break this book out again. I might have to break this book out again and take a peek at Psalms. It's been many years for me. But just, I mean, you know, is there a specific area? I know you said, what did you say? You didn't say predatory.
It's in the upper digits of the Psalms. You know, the first part of Psalms is very, you know, warm and fuzzy. And as you get further into it, it starts to, you know,
go dark.
Go dark, yeah.
Go dark. Oh, I'm going to look for this.
I think it's Psalm 129 or 119, something like that. That is, you know, cursing a man to be killed, essentially.
Feel free to try that shit on me.
Stop it. Stop. Don't be ridiculous.
Hey, you know, you got to be careful what you ask for, too. When calling for justice, you just might get some. You know, there's just a couple of days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, there was a Turkish MP who was giving a speech in front of the Turkish parliament, blasting them for their support of Israel. And he, at the podium, he said, you know, God will not tolerate this, and you will suffer the wrath of Allah. And then he drops dead.
Uh-oh.
He called for justice, and he literally dropped dead. So you got to be careful when you know, call for justice.
But you've always said that in anything that we do, that the intent that we put behind what we do, we must be mindful and aware of what it is we're actually, be very mindful with the words that you choose, and what that like really narrow down what that intent is, right? I don't think it should be so general. I think that's where we get a little bit lost, right?
Right.
I've even seen movies like that, like, oh, I'm looking for love, and the next thing you know, you're getting the things you're not really wanting.
Yeah, and you always punctuate what you're doing, not with an amen, but if it's just, or if it's justice. That way you're giving it out. If it's not just, and if it's not your time for a particular thing to take place, the universe isn't going to force it to happen in a really ugly way. It's just going to not happen. If it's just, or if it's justice, you will essentially give yourself that out. So it's no harm, no foul.
Yeah. Guys, remember, on the side, this is your chance to ask him questions. He's focusing tonight a little bit on conjure and hoodoo. With the conjure part of this, Stacey, what is a really basic tool that would be well known for conjure?
A lot of herbs are used. Like I said, conjure and hoodoo both, they're not religiously, strict. There's a lot of improvising that takes place that, as long as you're in the wheelhouse of what it is you're trying to do, it will send the message the way that it goes. Unlike religion, where you have very strict and specific things you need to do, this is not that. If you're doing a working that requires, peppermint, for instance, because we'll use your coffee as an example. But
peppermint mocha, by the way.
Yeah, peppermint mocha, but the only thing available is mint, not peppermint. That's okay. It's in the wheelhouse. What you've got in your cupboard is, a lot of what you need. And if you need something more, it's not going to be something that's expensive. Because it's of the earth. Speaking of which, a lot of the stuff that you do requires a special kind of dirt, given the intent that you're wanting to do. You get graveyard dirt, you got dirt at crossroads, you got dirt at a church, you got dirt at a police station, all depending on what you're trying to accomplish to get protection or get yourself out of trouble. Everything I shouldn't say everything, but a lot of what we do ends up as dirt in the end. And that information of what it is that you're trying to do is still there, even though that it's just dirt. It hasn't broken down and disappeared. It's in the dirt. Holy ground. You go to, battlefields. I mean, that is consecrated holy ground to a lot of people for a very good reason. It is very energetic. A lot of people died there in a very gruesome way. And that energy is still there in the dirt. You take a little bit with you, you get protection from that in which it was. So
I remember being outside of Cleveland, Tennessee, and I was told a story of the specific town. There was somebody that I believe, I don't know if she was a confirmed witch, but they thought she was a witch, and they buried her. You said crossroad dirt, but they buried her at a certain crossroads in the town, like facing a certain direction. And I guess it was to confuse, for her spirit to be confused as to what direction to go. I'm sure I'm not reciting it correctly, but do you know anything about something like that?
Well, cemeteries, for the most part, especially the ones that are older than 50 years ago, all have the head of the person facing west. Just like in Islam, you face east to the rising sun. That's life. Death is in the west when the sun sets. That goes all the way back to ancient Egypt. Sun Ra, sunset. It's those two gods represent life and death.
Okay.
They would bury witches, and they would make sure the way that they were facing was west towards death.
Okay.
They would also point them downward or put them up and down where their head was in towards hell.
Okay.
So it really comes to, they don't want that person rising up. And if they do rise, they rise in the wrong direction. They keep digging down instead of, coming back to the surface. But the sunrise, sunset, even feng shui does that.
Yeah.
Those are your holy points. You want to point your head in those directions depending on what it is you're really wanting. If they're dead, they point west. If they're want life, they point east, which is your headboard.
I'm just trying to think of cemeteries in general.
Yeah.
But
the newer ones don't follow that. The ones that are just started like 50 years ago, they have a tendency to point in whichever direction is most convenient to them.
Right.
But if you look at older cemeteries, the headstone is pointing west.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Anybody got any questions for Stacey? The conjure thing, I don't know much about conjure, but it definitely sounds a little bit more like something that people would use generationally, right? Like this is definitely something that, like you stated, like a grandmother might say, or great grandmother, this is something we've passed down. And so this is what you use for everyday spells.
Right. And there's a lot of that superstition that really does it still exists today. If you go to somebody's house in Tennessee, grandma taught these things on how to live your life in a safe way to prevent spirits. We do in our culture generally too, we just don't call it that.
Okay.
The things like pine and evergreen are a way of sweeping spirits out of your home. They would make brooms out of pine and evergreen to sweep out the energy of spirits. The wreath on your door, for Christmas, that was there to act as sort of like the fur catcher. As you walk through, it grabbed whatever negative energy was on you and would stick to the wreath on the outside of the door. So evil did not have a chance to come in.
I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, it's the pine tree in your home too, the Christmas tree. That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Is to get the spirits caught in that thing and then throw it out after Christmas.
So the town I live in is very French influenced by the French Indian Wars. And the way they built these houses, it's interesting. And I never knew this either. And I kind of learned about this because I started to learn about numerology and how your houses are numbered and what that could mean for your house. But they plant certain shrubbery or trees in front of your house for very specific reasons. So lining your house with holly bushes, for instance. So it has a very specific meaning. Of course, I can't remember off the top of my head now what that meant. I want to say that one was for prosperity. But it was very in the pear trees that they would also plant along the side of your house. And it depended where they planted them too, as to how that would affect your home.
Yeah, well, holly, for the most part, they have thistles in them. There was a dual purpose. It would keep evil spirits out. And also at the same time, people who tried to climb through your window would get an experience like trying to crawl through quarantine razor wire.
Right.
It's hard and very painful for people to sneak in. It was, very practical. They do it down here with the same kind of thing in certain palm bushes. Okay. They'll grow into trees if you let them, but they look really soft and feathery, but they are hard as razor blades.
Okay.
And I did the first time I moved down here. The first thing I did was touch one of these things, and then my hand started to bleed because they had it right next to the sidewalk. I'm like, oh, how soft and what the hell? Well, people use it to prevent burglaries, but the holly is spiritual cleanser as well.
Okay.
They would use holly for Yule logs. And you burn a Yule log on Christmas to expel the spirits and call in good spirits for prosperity for the new coming year, to protect you from the darkest night, because technically it's the 21st, but the longest night of the year, people attributed to Christmas.
Okay.
So protect you from the long night.
I was when I was married. So, Stacey, I want to touch on this, on G Hoot's comment about if I'm reading it the right way, hoodoo, conjure. My understandings from talking to you or speaking with you is that is not the intent and is not what it's used for.
No, revenge is negative. You're right, Dihu. Now, calling for justice, because the universe is balanced. You have yin and yang. Everything is in a balance, and people can throw that out of whack and out of balance by doing things that disrupt your path, disrupt your ability to accomplish the things that you need to do. Whether they hurt your feelings or not makes no difference. You get butthurt because somebody said something to you on Twitter, really doesn't matter. It's not going to do anything that way. But if somebody is threatening you, they're threatening your family, they're threatening your job, your business, any of these things, just for the simple pleasure that they can, that throws things out of balance, and you can call for justice. And that person in turn receives all of the things they threatened you with. It is instant. I shouldn't say instant, but it's pretty close to instant karma. It's a opportunity for them to learn. There's some things you just don't do. Don't be a dick.
You would think. You would think.
It's not revenge. It's justice, which is something different. No different than calling the cops on someone.
Stacey, maybe you can have a new course that is somehow steeped in hoodoo or conjure called "Don't Be a Dick," and it just be a specific course.
Yeah, I've tried stuff like that, and I got my stuff banned.
Oh, okay. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Yeah, they're very sensitive because Udemy's out of California. They're very sensitive to.
There you go. Enough said. Sorry, Dee Dee. That's, but she does have a question here, and I know you said that it's not religious based, but do you have to contact anything specific deity wise, or can you, or is it just simply saying universe when it comes?
You can just say universe, but it helps as far as targeting is concerned. If you use the name of the specific kind of spirit you're going for, like the spirit of the crossroads. Every mythology has a spirit of the crossroads. They have a spirit that transmits messages, the communicator, the messenger. These are where you find that spirit. You have Mercury, in hoodoo and conjure is derived from Ishu or Elegua in Santeria. That spirit has like 21 different paths, personalities, if you want to say, some of which are a child, like a something that loves to play with your keys and make little jokes and hide your keys and make you really frustrated because you can't find your other shoe, things like that. That spirit is very playful. Some have even considered it to be poltergeist-like, but it's not. It's more of like a little child. And then on the other end, you have, very dark imagery of what the spirit is as the bringer of the dead to the other side. In voodoo, they have that personality with Ishu. What was it that they used in American Horror Story, The Coven? I don't remember. They used one of the personalities in that TV show, but it was essentially the spirit of the crossroads, who was bringing people back and forth from the dead. He was, portrayed in a very dark way, but that's just one of the personalities out of the 21 that he has. So
That's interesting. How about Jenny Davis's question here? Do they believe in elementals
yes,
at all? Oh, in conjure and hoodoo, is that something that they use?
yeah. Well, you have the four, earth, wind, water, and fire, are represented as the spirits. They have their own names depending on the mythology you're talking about, or the diaspora.
Okay.
In Palomayombe, it's Insazi. In Santeria, it's Shango. They all have similar aspects, a little bit of a tweak on, what it is they do and how they conduct themselves. King of witchcraft is another way of doing it.
Okay.
The spirit that is the king of witchcraft, but it's a fire spirit, similar to in Shango is in Cody and Satori's museum had the African mask was West African Shango. Even had the smell of smoke when you first got it. It dissipated pretty quick, but for whatever reason, whenever it changes hands, it has a tendency to smell like smoke.
Okay.
The Nganga wand that I donated was Insazi, same spirit, fire spirit. King of witchcraft, that kind of thing.
Okay. Interesting. And Kimberly, I find this interesting, and I would be curious because I feel like the pendulum to me sort of crosses over all cultures. They all use them for very obviously similar reasons. But so, right, if you're using the pendulum, especially for the baby thing, right, like it's one of the favorite games to play at a baby shower, but does that fall in that conjure hoodoo, or is that just a spiritualism act?
That's actually more European witchcraft.
Okay.
They didn't play around a lot with pendulums.
Okay.
They used Danny's favorite phrase, what falls to the floor comes to the door.
Yeah.
That's more African because the divination system that they use always needed to be dropped.
Okay.
Thrown on the floor. Yeah. And how it landed is how it was read.
Okay.
And they would even in Rome do the same thing when they would read entrails. As soon as they, pulled the entrails out of the animal, they would throw it on the floor first.
Okay.
See how it landed, and then they would put it in a bowl, and then they would, continue on with the reading. But the initial drop on the floor was the starting point of the reading. So
right. So tea leaves, any coffee grounds, is that all more European as well?
That's Chinese.
Chinese. Okay.
Yeah. That's I Ching mythology. And, if you can read tea leaves, you were considered to be a prophet in China because things just were so deadly accurate on that. The I Ching was also similar where it drops to the floor. But, and that's more psychic on the tea leaves. Right.
Interesting. Sam, just so you know, right, I know she's laughing at your Ass Man title under your name, Stacey, and that just simply is Ask Stacey Stuff. That's it. No reference to Seinfeld, but he does know a lot, right, Dee Dee? Like it's so interesting to me because I think it, there are those that keep they're sort of purist, right, when it comes to these practices. But then what you start to see happening is people pulling a little bit of everything together and creating their own sort of magic, right?
Yeah. Well, as long as you stay within the wheelhouse of the intent of the spirit that you're dealing with, you don't have to actually worship that particular spirit, but you want to essentially make it compatible with the spirit. Think of it just like an operating system. There are some things that work good with Google or Android, and some things that work good with the iPhone. And a lot of times they don't mix.
Don't smile, Rob. He thinks nothing works well with the iPhone.
with Mac in general. Yeah. So, I mean, I hope, I love watching the comments on the side. Because this is Stacey. This is how his courses are. They're very conversational, and you freaking feel like you're sitting in the room with him and he's teaching you. When I was going through trying to figure out what remote viewing really even was, I did. I looked at a few different courses and I found Stacey, and I didn't know if he was full of shit or not, but I just knew when I started listening to him, and it's kind of creepy sometimes when he's looking at you on the screen, and I'm like, is this guy even here with me? It's just odd. But he draws you in, and he really captures your attention, and the way he explains things. And you have an IT background, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I
Yeah,
have 20
so
years.
there's a lot of that in there, but he makes it make sense, and it's really kind of, I don't know. For me, it was a testament. It's why I stuck with you, and that's how all the insanity happened on 2/22 of this year with you. And I don't know. I'm just glad. I'm glad we're friends. But just know that as conversational as this is right now, these are how his courses are. They're not hard. They don't make you go, "Oh my God, like this guy gonna stop talking." It's really cool. Well, one of his voice and his freaking weird German eyes, all that stuff.
Well, my big thing is practical application. When you're talking spirituality and talking, manifestation and trying to move through life in a very spiritualist or spiritual way, a lot of the gurus out there are either blowing sunshine up your ass or blowing sunshine out their ass. It's very general, and you kind of have to interpret what it is that they're saying and somehow squeeze that into how you live your life. And maybe it works and maybe it doesn't, because they're waxing philosophical on a lot of stuff. Things that they have read, they just, repeat and regurgitate. I focus specifically on what works, what actually has results, because practical application, moving through life, is what people are looking for. If you got going through a minefield of, hidden mines, and you got to work your way through it, if you don't know what you're looking for, you're going to step on something and, blow off your ass.
Yeah.
You have to be shown or taught exactly what is what, and this is how you maneuver through that. Until you do, you're just going to end up getting yourself either hurt or just wasting your time and your money, which is also, a finite resource. Time is something that you never get back. So the more time you spend on somebody else's bullshit, that's time that's gone forever. Not to mention whatever you spent on wasting your time. So getting to the meat of how to do certain things and how to get things to work in your favor is, really what I'm trying to accomplish and trying to teach.
Yeah, it's really, and you do it effectively, at least with the courses I've taken. So yeah, sorry. I just wanted people to understand that.
Well, I'm humbled, actually, every time you say something. I'm really humbled that you have such high regard for me.
Well, I mean, so do, let's see, how many 1,064 other people, 63 maybe. I don't know if I left you a review yet. I probably should. But yeah, I mean, all great reviews on your courses.
D Hoot wants to have a conversation with you sometime, Stacey, and I don't know if it's something you want to take on now, but to hear what you think. What does like, with all your knowledge, all the different practices, beliefs, religions, all these things that that you are so knowledgeable about, and all the things that you actually practice for yourself, for you, what does happen to the soul after that the body does die? Like for you, what do you follow one specific sort of thought process, or are you open to it all?
Well, I'm pretty much open to it all because the spirits themselves have described, not in great detail, but in enough detail to where it coincides with a lot of belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole idea of the Akashic records,
Mm-hmm.
where you obtain, enlightenment at different levels, is basically it. Um, where you end up when you cross is where you are, in life, on the spiritual level in which you obtained in life. Um, Elevating to a higher level on the other side is very difficult to do by yourself. You either have to essentially reincarnate and go through the challenges to obtain that level of enlightenment. So when you cycle back out, you're at a higher level. Or as a spirit, you help people obtain that level themselves. And by virtue of that effort of you being able to protect them and guide them, you are elevated yourself. Think of It's a Wonderful Light with Clarence, the spirit who came down and helped him get his wings, that kind of thing. It's a lot like that. I can also tell you what doesn't happen is that there is no judgment from on high about how evil you've done. The sins that you did are not judged by anyone but you. You get to judge yourself. Those things that you've done that have hurt other people, you get to feel that as they did. So it's the emotional damage that you may have caused is the judgment itself from the other person's point of view. Being judged as, burning in hell and things of that kind, it's not there. It's not real.
Uh-oh. Stacey just made a big statement right here on Ask Stacey Stuff that probably can throw some people off a little bit. But
yeah,
where does suicide fall? Do you have an opinion or a thought on this topic?
Yeah, from what I'm told, that through seances and even in the Book of Mediums, they address that too. One of three things happen. You instantly get recycled back in reincarnation. You go into a state of limbo to where the moment you die is literally frozen, and you stay there until someone pulls you out. Whether it be another family member or whatever, which could be, a matter of hours or centuries.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know because you're frozen. It's that limbo.
Okay.
And the third is you essentially have to endure all of the pain and the suffering that you caused everyone else with your suicide, and just basically live that until you make a choice to do something about it. So suicide is really frowned on, and in a lot of cultures you are actually downgraded. If you commit suicide, you get reincarnated as something less worthy, more difficult. The next life is harder than the one that you thought you couldn't endure the first time, because it's something that you need to learn. I don't know how true that is, though. That's,
so the concept sort of being that you need to learn how to toughen up a little bit, like you need to get to become a little bit more strong in
the lessons that you needed to learn, you basically tried to skip out on. You tried to cheat.
Okay.
And it's like, no, you're going to get that and some more. So you get it, you really understand what it is that you were trying to understand, what you need to learn. There's no getting out of it. You have a mission. You have to do it. There's no shortcut.
Do you know, and I only know a little about the Akashic, do you believe that particular act would ever show up in your records?
What, suicide? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and in the Akashic records are everything that is ever known or will ever be known by man.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started to do remote viewing, they thought that's what they were tapping into. It turns out that some of the stuff that they were tapping into, as far as knowledge is concerned, will never be known by man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how can you know what it's like to stand inside of a black hole? Mankind will never know that. This is something, remote viewing is literally the database of the universe itself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything that can be known in the universe can be found in, it can be gleaned from remote viewing, whereas the Akashic records are human knowledge.
Okay.
So I've never seen the Akashic records myself, but you know, people talk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've had one reading done, and I think that is a tough that itself. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure who would be the most trustworthy when it comes to the Akashic records. I think so many, and you touched on it a little bit, right? Is so many gurus today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most yoga studios have a guru. You know, so it sort of lends itself to, I think people go into this, but where did Akashic records come from, and who should be the ones able to read that? Are you chosen to read them? Do you practice to read them?
I don't know. I don't know where the whole thing comes from. Some cultures, Tibetan cultures, they have their own understanding through, you know, lifetimes worth of meditation, that you don't know whether it was brought down to them via the universe, whether some people seem to think that their culture is directly from alien cultures, the stuff that they, you know, created and they built and they carved out of stone, and their knowledge literally comes from teachers from outer space, from different worlds. Whether the Akashic records are part of that,
right?
You know, I don't know.
That's kind of crazy. We actually almost stumped Stacey there for a minute. You couldn't answer the Akashic record.
Yeah, it gets distorted a lot, and since I'm a person of, you know, about practical application, I don't take anything that's being said or written at face value on, you know, just because it's in a book. The Golden Dawn was really hot and heavy for the Akashic records, but the people who wrote the Golden Dawn are largely full of shit. So where did they get that information? What exactly, what twist did they put on it? I don't know.
Yeah. Interesting. Do you guys have any, they're all just listening tonight, I think. Do you guys have any questions about anything that you're working on? I think the hoodoo and conjure, you know, that is, to me, I mean, that's something you could use easily and very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like magic light. LITE, in my opinion. I feel like it's a little bit more on that. I don't want to say it's not deep, because it is. It is deep. But I feel like it's a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm having word loss here, Rob.
It's entry level. It's I don't want to use the term basic, but I believe it's a little more dipping your toe in the pool. Two things. Go ahead.
A lot of that, and I want to explain why I start people off on those levels, is because if I'm going to teach you something, we need to use the same terminology and the same language moving forward.
Okay.
If we're going to understand a certain thing, I need to have you follow the same road and not, you know, go off on this and that and all this other kind of stuff. We need to create a baseline, and then from the baseline we build on it, and that's essentially the teaching process.
Did we didn't touch on Sam's question, which I think she had asked basically, what all can remote view be used for? And Hoot, just so you know, I feel like she's saying Hoot's like, we need remote viewing in the current political times, and that might fall into next show on the 28th of December, not September. That will be remote viewing 2024. But so yeah, what do we use remote viewing for? What exactly can we?
As defined by the military, remote viewing is a way of getting actionable intelligence on a person, place, thing, or event anywhere in space-time. That is the military definition. The idea behind it is that your mind, your subconscious mind, is connected on like a streaming service to everything, every quantum particle in the entire universe. You being able to pull up information that is captured throughout the universe and stream it down to you in what Einstein called spooky actions at a distance, where it didn't matter how far away it was. At the quantum level, it's all connected. The speed of light does not matter. Yeah, they would, every time a quantum particle would spin one way, regardless of how far away it was, an entangled particle would spin the other. They communicate faster than the speed of light. Just like this.
All right, boys.
Not like this.
Yeah, it's definitely not, it's not bad. Yes. And again, it does not matter how far apart they are, and also how the fact that you're observing a particle can change its behavior and its quantumly entangled partner. It's absolutely amazing when you look at it.
Yeah, that's real science. They're developing a quantum communication system by entangling particles here on Earth and then sending them the entangled particle, the other half, into space to communicate at a distance without the lag time with radio waves or light waves or anything like that.
It's
communicating real time with things in space with a machine on Earth. And they've got it constantly running. They've been running this experiment now for 30 years. So it's a practical thing. Your brain being the only viable quantum computer in the universe, chemically based, you should be able to absorb that information and interpret it in what your language being sight, smell, touch, hearing, feeling. These things are what the world to be. And that information does exist, even though that humans may not have actually experienced them at the distance. It's like
it's mind-boggling. Yeah, if you ever just want to hurt your brain, go watch some videos and information on quantum entanglement or string theory and all the things that come along with that. And it opens up entirely new potentials for possibly understanding the things that we all kind of look for. It's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Danny's kind of wondering, can you put something like Florida water, or as you say, flower water? Can you put that in a diffuser?
Yeah. I mean, it's rubbing alcohol and rose cinnamon. You just understand that it's incredibly flammable. So whatever you put it in, make sure it doesn't, set off a spark.
Good for cleansing. Like if she were to choose, or if any of us chose to put this in the diffuser, is it good for cleansing the area?
It's good for, you can put it in a splash a little bit into a bucket of water if you're going to mop your floors. In the bath, part of the spiritual bath process. Another thing about hoodoo and conjure is, in for a pinch, in for a pound. It is, sorry about that. It's not, how we typically do stuff with cooking, where you have to have the exact measurements.
Okay.
It is the information of what it is that you are putting in there is all that's necessary.
Okay.
So you can use a pinch of dirt. You can use a splash of the flower water, different things like that. You don't need to bathe yourself in that whole bottle to cleanse yourself. It's not it.
Just a cap full good, as long as your intention going into that cap full.
Right. It's the information in the flour, in the cinnamon. These are magical things too. You don't have to use the bought stuff.
Okay.
You can create it yourself.
Okay.
But society being what it is, we're all lazy and we don't know how to do these things, so we just buy it off the shelf.
So maybe, Stacey, would you ever be, willing, like maybe if we told everybody what to bring or what we could use, like where we could maybe mix up some of our own little conjure or hoodoo type stuff to have for some cleansing or manifestations.
Right. And some things, are just easier to just buy. Like white rum is a very common, thing. You can make your own white rum if you've got a distiller, which you do, Sarah. But most people do not, where they have to buy it because it's just one of those controlled, products.
Okay.
But in the old days, people used to make rum all the time. It was just as easy as making bread, which nobody does today anyway, either. But
you sound so down on people. All you people are lazy. So says Stacey. Nobody's making their own rum or their own bread.
Yeah. My brother makes his own whiskey and his own rum and all of this stuff. And, it's not watered down like the stuff you buy on the shelf. And you know the difference. Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out what Dehud is saying here.
I didn't either. I read that 3 times and I'm still not sure. So Dehud.
Very Texas of you.
You may want to
very Texas of you.
Expand. But before Stacey wraps up, I do have one question. It's actually an observation. Isn't that how you go blind? Mm-hmm. Look, whether you all know it or not, like Stacey and I chat every now and then. There are times Stacey will go dark on me. Then there will be times Stacey will check in and be like, "What's wrong?" It's kind of weird. And he's usually always, making your own alcohol. Okay. But and when we talk, he talks about how the dead talk to him, right? You're dead. What does that sound like? How does it come to you? Is it messages? Is it thoughts? Is it
similar to remote viewing? You have, you've been through the course. That there are certain points where you ask, this about the smells, about the sights, about the tastes, about what do you hear, what do you feel? These things are targeted in the remote viewing session because that's the information, the way that we understand stuff. The dead will do the same kind of thing. Now, if you notice that mediums, whenever they go through a haunted location, rather, they'll go, "Oh, my stomach, it hurts. It hurts really bad right now, right there." Well, I mean, it's a form of communication if it's the spirits is talking to them, or they went to Taco Bell before they got there. One of 2 things took place, and you have to kind of like determine whether it's a physical thing that's happening to you or whether it's a communication. And mediums, for the most part, can't tell the difference. They just report what it is that they're feeling.
Okay.
That is a lot of what I get. I get all of a sudden get this intense feeling of dread, something really terrible, or fear, or something, a stress that may be coming down the pike, and you're getting ready to go to an interview, or you just got pulled over, one of these things where you just got that intense dread. That is radio waves out. I can tell that it's coming from the north. I'm in the south, and I'm like, okay, that's coming north. They're coming from the north. Who do I know up there? Well, it's either going to be Rob, Sarah, or Danny. And if I start checking in on them like that, Danny and Sarah are going to get really freaked. Rob can handle it. So I'll ask Rob.
No, he can't.
Yeah, I think I can handle it better. Rob does not like that it wigs him out a bit.
Well, you know, I'm a dude, and you got some creepy guy texting you, you know, asking you stuff.
I get it. Yeah, no, but here's, you know, it's almost always right there. It was a recent one with I feel this sense of dread, and I'm like, fuck off, dude, stop it. It's wild. So, you know, I don't know where the connection is made, or if those whoever your dead are popping in over here to talk to my guy up there. I don't know how it works or why it works, but it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, well, it's, you know, time and space really mean nothing. So I don't even pay attention to that kind of thing. It's you pay attention to the information that comes, and I respond to it. However, if it's a feeling, it's, you know, usually something like a sense of dread that something is happening or something is, you know, and I've ignored it several times when things are going, you know, to shit on your side. I've really ignored it because I don't want to be that guy. You guys got to, you know, work on stuff without having me interject or making it even more weird. But when it's really, really intense, I reach out.
He does, and you do.
He does. Guys, so next Ask Stacey Stuff, December 28th, he is going to go over remote viewing 2024.
Right.
Very interesting. I think that will be so beyond interesting to sit and listen to. And will you go kind of over, I remember when we had you on Paranormally Blonde, you sort of did a little quick remote viewing with everybody to know what they were seeing. Will you do a little something like that with everybody?
We can. The thing that I wanted to focus on with this is the sessions that I've done, you know, regarding the next year. I wanted to hit upon basically the I don't want to say do's and don'ts, but the good and the bad. You know, what's going to greet us throughout the year. It's really easy to scare the bejesus out of people.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm wanting to do. I'm wanting to get people to recognize that fear is a tool used by those in power to get you to obey, to get you to comply. And if you know what's coming, you're not going to be afraid. So.
All right. Well, who doesn't want to know what to look forward in 2024? December 28th, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here. Also, as you see the code right there, Get Haunted 23, all capital letters. Go to Udemy right now. You've got, well, after tonight, you've got 4 days left. So do not sit on this. Do not think I'll do it tomorrow and then let 4 days go by. You've got a few days left. Get Haunted 23. That gets you any course by Stacey Talich for $10 a piece. If you want them all, this is the best time to do it. Grab them all. But if you wanted to take remote viewing, $10. If you want to do conjure or hoodoo, $10. Do it. $10. All right, money bags. Put it away. Put it away, money bags.
All right, so we make it rain for Stacey tonight?
That's right, babe.
Oh, Stacey, man.
There you go. Yeah.
Get my thong. You can put it in my thong.
Okay, you too. They were in New Orleans together. This is what happens. So yes, I'm gonna go check out and see what Stacey course I want, because there were more courses that I wanted to look at. But $10, folks, it just doesn't get better than that. So udemy.com, go to Stacey Talich, and then you look for what course you want. Put in that code, Get Haunted 23, all capital letters, $10 for a course, yours for life. You want it, you know you do, go get it. And don't forget, December 28th, remote viewing in 2024. Stacey, it's always a pleasure to hang out with you. And It's exactly right, Rob, right? We're just sitting around talking about some cool shit, and you'll walk away and you've learned something really cool. Or maybe you've learned that one thing that you weren't maybe fully doing correctly, or maybe that you need to add, and you're going to do it even better now. So Ask Stacey Stuff. This is the place that you learn, get knowledge, make friends. What else? Make magic.
Make magic happen.
Yeah.
Also, now that Sarah has gotten me on Facebook, if you got
That's
a question, you don't have to wait until the 2-week Thursday show. I'm on Facebook now. I may not respond immediately because I hate Facebook, but I will respond.
Does not.
Oh, I hate it.
Stacey loves, listen, when he sees his name tagged in there, he loves it. Just like Rob hates to do shows. I got the boys doing those things, Facebook and Facebook Lives. This is amazing. So Ask Stacey Stuff all the time on Facebook. And he just opened that up. You take a course and you have a question, Ask Stacey Stuff right there.
Yeah. Well, you have access through Udemy to ask me anything, related to the course, because the courses are broken into modules. And if you ask something in a particular module, it helps me understand where you're at in, questioning things.
Yeah.
So you can ask directly from Udemy, or, if you got a general question, Facebook is there.
Yeah. So. Well, everybody's loving you, Stacey. Thank you again for sharing your knowledge. And I really do hope people are going to udemy.com to check you out, because honestly, it's such a great way, and you can take your time. I mean, I took 9 months to go over my Reiki, and I'm taking my time to go over Stacey Stuff because, right, like it's not like he's timing you on this. Take your time, soak it in, learn it, reread it, retake the chapters as much as you want. You're going to be so much better spiritually if you get on these courses with Stacey. So remember, he is our spiritual warfare advisor. He's like the get haunted badass dude. So
he is. So don't F with me, because that's where I go right there. Okay.
That's right. Stacey will call you and say, I feel something in the West. What's going on? Who's fucking around? Right. All right, folks.
A disturbance in the force is happening.
He's my Obi-Wan Vader. he's the light and the dark.
Yeah. Yes, Sam. He probably is going to start. He was showing.
No, I was looking for something flammable, because my Florida water is not flammable.
Then that's not Florida water.
Well, does it have ingredients on it? Is it real water as opposed to alcohol?
I don't know what it is, Stace. It's poltercillin. That's what it is.
It's not Florida water. It's a concoction.
It smells good.
Yeah, it's just a different concoction.
Protection. I use protection.
It's good. I'm glad you do.
Yes.
It was a great show tonight. All right, so don't forget, 2 weeks, Stacey, the 28th. Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here. Remote viewing 2024. Go check out udemy.com. Seriously, 4 days left, guys. Go get your $10 courses. And with that, have a fantastic rest of your week. I don't know. Maybe you'll see Rob and I on again. I don't know. We don't know.
Peace.
Peace out.